Hey guys, just want to preface a couple things before this video starts. It's going to be a deep topic. In case you don't want to hear just a zoomer yap about nothing, you can just watch up to this time, or you can skip up to here if you're going to stay. So mental health is a really big thing for me, especially after getting diagnosed. So I mostly just want to share my story and hope those who have met similar issues to me, they can relate. And those who are trying to get help, this will be the inspiration for them. Oh, so you decided to stay then. Really appreciate it. So I'll see you in a bit then. What are you doing here? The video. What are you doing here? Get out! Jeez, okay, gee, chill. We need a deep talk about this. So if you recall in my 100 subscriber video, I talked a little bit about my mental health. Here, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So let's go right the way back to the beginning. I think I was starting to show signs of something. Oh, when my parents noticed me covering my ears whenever a baby was crying, especially in a shop. So surely that should have been a sign of whatever it was. But you have to remember, back then, autism, ADHD, ADD, whatever, wasn't as common or widely accepted as it is now. Later down the line, I kind of remember acting a little strangely around certain things. Like I am audio sensitive, or I used to be. Um, there's certain textures I don't like. There's odd patterns I used to do, like I would only step on, like for example, I would only step on cracks when I was walking through a town centre, or I'd like walk and then skip in a certain pattern. I never really thought anything of it until I'd say year eight or so, because I thought it was just me being a kid. Like kids are silly. And by the time year eight came around, or this when it comes to American schools, we did talk about like autism, ADHD, whatever. And at the time, I kind of thought about, did I have something like this? But the thing is, I never followed up on it. Reasons being is because, one, I didn't want my mom to call me silly for it, and two, I thought I would have just used it as a get out of jail free card for everything. Bit of a dumb thing, but stupid kid, remember? Then things were starting to take a turn for the worse as of, I'd say year 10, so that'd be age 14 going 15, I'd say. And I was just getting more and more depressed. I just couldn't feel willing to do anything. And it was getting to the point where I needed to think about what I wanted to do with my life. And I just couldn't get to grips with trying to find a job or anything. In fact, I don't even think there was a take your kid to school day for anything. I could well be wrong, but this is how I remember it right now. And by college, the second year, that was at my lowest point. So in the first year, it wasn't like terribly bad. I'll go into my college experience in another video, so keep this in mind. The first year was pretty much okay. Like it was a new experience, and I was excited for it. But without trying to dox myself too much, here's my first picture from when I started college, and then here's my next one. Bet you can't tell the difference, can you? So yeah, by the second year, I just kind of got sick of doing it. But at the same time, I didn't want to back out of it because I was starting to lose interest in a lot of things, namely karate. And I think that was starting to be the point where I was stopping watching TV. And by the third year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, as I said in my other video, that it was just shit on top of shit, honestly. Like, and I couldn't cope with it because for one, I wasn't getting therapy or anything, or I wasn't being told you could have this, that, or the other symptoms of whatever mental thing. And I grew up in a household where you just need to get a grip and do better. Then by the end of college, I think it was in the September or the October, that's when I decided to knuckle down. So after college, me and my dad got into an argument about something as usual, but I can't think of what it was. But regardless, afterwards, it was just like, what the fuck am I saying? And that was the realization that I needed help really, really friggin' badly. So we got into touch with my local clinic, and one thing led to the next, and I got a phone call to go over my symptoms and get a diagnosis. Lo and behold, anxiety and depression. Getting that diagnosis was, it wasn't necessarily scary at first, but it felt like there was something wrong with me, and getting that confirmation was very, very soothing. Then come, I think just before the end of the year, I got my first therapy session, as I said before. It was just talking about how I was doing, how I'm handling my symptoms, and I think I was just told that I was doing good. Like, I didn't need to worry about anything. Then for a good few months, it was just a near constant state of euphoria, like a new love for life, and I can't complain with that. It was the first time I felt that genuinely happy in about 5 years. Then fast forward to near the end of August, so I would have been 20 as of 2018, and I just completely dipped again. I was suicidal, and that was when I realized I needed more help than I got before, and thank God I did. So instead of just going to my local clinic, they recommended me a therapist in the next big town over. So I went there for 6 months, I believe it was, maybe just under or over. That helped a lot. It wasn't just a case of just chatting back and forth. It was using a lot of other activities to help me express myself and show how I'm feeling inside. Using those certain ways does help, and being given different methods of managing your thoughts is an absolute godsend. And I would recommend just writing down your thoughts, whether on a piece of paper or in your notes on your phone, and just look at them, read them over a few times, and then delete them once you got them out of your head. So because of therapy, I didn't really feel ready to get back into work because I felt like I would just go back into my cocoon. I would feel like I would just crack and have near constant anxiety attacks. So in case you're having that worry as well, take your time. There's no need to rush. Things will work themselves out. So following that, I was just getting experience through not only work but through doing different things as well. Throughout 2018 and 2019, I was going to clubs and certain concerts. That felt like really friggin' relieving for me. Like it was really fun. I can't really remember who I saw though. I know one of them was the D&B Awards of 2019. No, 2017. Um, Gary Newman near the end of 2018. And since then, I've done a few gigs back and forth. But regardless, learning life stuff, whether it be fun or practical, just go for it. I really would recommend just doing shit, no matter how trivial. So when Dad left the house in 2020, that was a really, really big relief for me. Because it's one thing to have the house to yourself, but someone with you, versus having the house purely to yourself. Because I'll never feel like you're truly alone. At least that's in my case. And during that 1 year period, I did get too accustomed to not going to work, and then my nan would help pay for my groceries and whatever else I needed, especially a couple bills. The only thing I could afford was my rent because I was simply on benefits. But right now, like, it's not really worth looking for a job, but that's for another video as well. It then got to the point where I was just sick of gaming and doing nothing with my life, and then I eventually got back into, like I said before, I got back into the warehousing thing, and meeting new people again felt really, really good. I felt a lot more social and ready to interact with the world. Then it wasn't until I got my first job post COVID that I started coming out of my shell a lot more and discovering who I was, who I am. The more life experience you get with these things, the more you can come to terms with yourself. And a lot of it, a lot of getting back into my happiness, was self reflection and cutting out a lot of toxic things out of my life, namely doom scrolling, which I'm sure a lot of you do, and just trying to stay as far away from people as possible. Because I do like my own time, but you can't just stay alone forever. And only this past August, I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD, or formerly ADD, and that would explain a lot of things I did as a kid, but it also explains a lot of my current behaviors as well. Namely, uh, not doing things on time, forgetting things that should be done, and prioritizing other things that don't matter. And the treatment I'm using right now is called Elvance, which is essentially a stimulant, not so much to keep me awake, but just to keep my brain ticking over so it can actually act on doing stuff. And if you don't think you have these problems, I would get tested just to make sure. Because a lot of people would go undiagnosed for most of their life and resort to this or worse. So for those who have been diagnosed, I'm here for you. And for the undiagnosed, I'm here for you as well. With a few final words before we go, everything's going to be okay. You don't have to rush. You don't need a massive plan for your life. Chances are, you're never going to know. And that's okay. Just enjoy what you're doing. And for the love of God, stay with us. I'm here. So, this has been Brodus Doomman. I'll see you in the comments if you need me.